Να καλωσορίσουμε την Λαχάβ Χαρκόβ, η οποία είναι η διπλωματική ρεπόρτερ της Jerusalem Post αλλά και του Jerusalem Insider και μάλιστα βρίσκεται ακριβώς στο επίκεντρο όλων των γεγονότων στο Τελ Αβίβ, εκεί όπου βεβαίως ο Σιδηρούν Θόλος έχει αναχαιτήσει πολλούς από τους πυράυλους προερχόμενους από τη Γάζα. Η συνέντευξη θα γίνει στα αγγλικά. Να την καλωσορίσουμε. Λαχάβ Χαρκόβ, thank you for being with us. I know that you're actually going through some hard times, and we would like to extend our deepest condolences and sympathies to you and your fellow citizens.
Thank you.
So, could you please describe to us the very first moments that you heard the sirens on Saturday morning? What happened then? Because it seems to be an attack without a precedent.
So, I'm not on the Gaza border, but the real drama was on the Gaza border, where the sirens began at 6:30 in the morning, a huge barrage of rockets. And so people went to hide in their safe rooms. All construction in Israel in the past 25 years or so have safe rooms in the home, so you don't have to go outside to a bomb shelter. People were hiding in their rooms. But it was not just a barrage of rocket attacks. It was an infiltration of over 1,000 Hamas terrorists who entered, and it was from air, land, and sea. They were using the barrage of rockets as a sort of distraction. They entered villages that were by the border, and they entered people's homes. They knew where people would be sitting because they were all in their safe rooms, and they murdered people, hundreds of people. We have 900 people dead now that have been found. There are many more people missing, so the number, unfortunately, will probably continue to rise. They killed entire families. There's a village that 10% of its residents are now dead. They kidnapped many people. You can see pictures of children, small children that they took to Gaza, elderly people. There's a Holocaust survivor who's not accounted for. There was also a party, an all-night party going on. It was very early. It was early in the morning when they came in, and Hamas terrorists just mowed down people, just shot at people who were partying outdoors, and also kidnapped many of them and reportedly raped as well. So it's an unprecedented, tragic, and horrific attack on Israeli civilians.
Lachав, we all question ourselves. We all have questions as to why didn't the secret services, the intelligence, could not see this coming. This is something that we're not used to it. I mean, Mossad is one of the most respectable intelligence services around the world. What happened?
I think it'll take a long time before we have definitive answers to that question, but we do know a few things that happened. First of all, Hamas worked very hard to give the impression that they were not interested in war and that they were interested in stabilizing the situation in Gaza. Israel facilitated humanitarian aid coming from Qatar to Gaza. Israel was allowing more Gazans to get work permits so that they could get jobs in Israel. And in the last round of fighting between Israel and Gaza, Hamas didn't participate. And it turns out that it was all a ruse, that they were doing this intentionally as they were preparing and training for this big war. In addition, one of the first things that they did when they managed to break through the fence is they shot out the security cameras and they massacred the soldiers who were guarding the border. You know, much of the guarding of the border is technological sort of solutions. Yeah. There are people standing there, but there's a lot of technological solutions, mostly young women, 18 to 20 years old, who are watching those screens, who are watching sonar screens, who are watching video cameras, and many of them were massacred. I mean, Hamas found those army bases that were by the border, went in, and first they killed the young men soldiers who were guarding the bases, and they went in and killed those young women.
Still, there is a question, though. Why could they not foresee what was coming actually up? So that was a real mystery for the time being, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a mystery. It's a massive failing of Israel's intelligence. Look, there's an additional sort of tactical defensive failing, which is it's not that they didn't know. Once this was happening, it took a very long time for soldiers to come and protect and stop the soldiers that were in the different villages on the border. And part of it was because Hamas had broken into the main army bases and killed so many soldiers, and had also, so those soldiers were not really able to get communications out. But it still took so long. And I think that it's going to take a long time to rebuild trust in Israel. I think a lot of people's sort of trust in the people who are supposed to protect us is really shattered.
Now, obviously, you have about 300,000 reservists that will actually go to the field to fight back. Your husband is actually one of them.
Yes.
Would you like to say your thoughts on that?
Yeah, over 100% of those called showed up. So that means more than Israel thought they needed actually reported to reserve duty, which I think says something beautiful about how Israelis stand together in a time of crisis and a time of need. My husband was called up. He was called up within hours of the war breaking out on Saturday. Thank God he's safe. I've been texting with him even today, but he's part of the effort, he and his friends. And I just hope that all of our soldiers come home safely.
We all hope they will do. Just another question on your safety. Are you actually concerned about your safety and your kids' safety? Because you have 2 children, correct? 2 kids.
Yeah, I have 3 children. I'm definitely concerned about safety. Overall, I live in a pocket that has been very safe. We've not had a lot of sirens. We are 10, 15 minutes away from places that have had a lot of sirens. And I can hear the interceptions of the Iron Dome defense system intercepting missiles overhead. I hear booms in the distance outside my window. My children are all sleeping in a safe room of the kind I told you about earlier. So that if there is a siren, I won't have to wake them up at night. I'll just run in with them.
But do you actually stay overnight in a safe house?
Well, my children are sleeping in that room. We use it as a bedroom. It's very sort of common in Israel. People have this room in their house, so they use it as a regular room. So for 2 out of my 3 children, it's their bedroom, and the 3rd child is sleeping on a mattress on the floor there, so that I know that they're safe. I'm far enough from the Gaza border that I have time to run in. There's obviously concern because there's a war going on, but I and my family are relatively safe.
There's been rumors that every citizen in Israel, they could be walking around, armed. Is that the case? Is that something that you would expect to take place in the next fortnight?
Many Israelis, there's a mandatory draft in Israel. So large numbers of Israelis know how to use a weapon. But it is not so easy to get authorization to have a weapon. And so I'm sure, just like whenever there's some sort of big security event, many Israelis are going to try now to be able to carry weapons. There has been talk about loosening the guidelines for a while now, not just in this war. So I'm sure that some of that will happen, but certainly not everyone.
Now, Egypt apparently claims that they have given notice to your government that there was an imminent attack from Gaza, from Hamas. How was that notice taken into consideration? What happened then? Do you know?
So, it's a report with an anonymous source. We're not entirely sure what's true or not, but the report says that Egypt said that something was coming. So, if the report's accurate, it means that the warning did not have a lot of details. I do think it was imperative of the government to check what that something is and to try to figure out what was happening. That being said, it's not really so clear that the warning gave them a real hint to what was going to happen.
Many countries around the world condemned the terrorist attack to Israel. My question is, though, what do you expect in terms of Hezbollah on the northern side of Israel? Do you think that they will actually realize their threats and actually invade Israel?
First of all, I hope not. There have been some mortars shot over the northern border from Lebanon into Israel. I think Lebanon, and Hezbollah should know that Israel means business, and Israel's already said that they will fight a war against Lebanon. It will be all of Lebanon that will be impacted, and not just, the few people on the border who are shooting the mortars. And so I hope that deters them. But I think that what Hamas and Hezbollah have in common is their patron, which is Iran. And all eyes are on Iran right now to see if their looking for a real war with Israel. I mean, we all hope not. I hope that this doesn't turn into a greater regional war, but there are really larger elements at play here that could make this very dangerous.
Apparently, there's a person named the Guest, Mohammed Daif, that walks around and sleeps around in a different house every single night so as to avoid the Israeli forces from capturing him. What do we know about him? Do we have any knowing of his whereabouts?
I certainly don't have any knowing of his whereabouts, but, you know, he's someone who Israel's been trying to track down for a long time. In more recent years, when leaders of Hamas have been killed, it's been sort of at an opportune time. And they definitely have eyes on everyone. And so I hope, you know, I'm sure that if that's the strategically smart thing to do, then they will target him. But there's, you know, there are a lot of options.
Now, leaving aside your professional capacity as a journalist, I would like to ask you to share with us your personal feelings on what's been going on, because it's more of a humane issue rather than a political one.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrific. I never thought that I would see such things in the 21st century. It's just, you know, I'm a granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, and to see Jews being gunned down, hundreds of Jews being gunned down in a field, an entire family being massacred, being found hiding in a closet and then killed. These things can only make me think of the Holocaust. And it was actually Saturday was the largest numbers of Jewish civilians killed in one day since the Holocaust. It's terrifying. It's chilling. I mean, there is evil in this world.
Would you ever consider abandoning Israel right now?
You know, Israel is my home. I love Israel. It is the homeland of the Jewish people. Our history is here. We have experienced many tragedies here, but our future is also here. And so I am staying.
Lacháv Χαρκόβ, thank you for being with us, and we wish you all the best. And your husband, we hope that he will actually come back home safe. Thank you.
Thank you.